Good morning, everybody. How we doing? Sammy, United People's TV, here with the morning live news show. And you can see from the title, we are going to be focusing on Luke Shaw. He has suffered a new injury setback. I'm going to read through the full statement from Shaw, and we're going to have a chat as a community. All right. Of course, tonight we've got Arsenal. So the majority of this show today is going to be previewing the Arsenal game, hearing from Ruben Amorim, his embargoed part of the press conference last night. Spoke about the storm that is coming for these players. Kukonki has travelled again. Yoro has travelled. Going to run through my starting 11. And I'm definitely making one change. And I'm probably going to make two changes to my starting 11 that I put out yesterday. Because quite a few of you correctly pointed out the fact that I didn't really speak about Mason Mount. Sorry, Mason. But anyway, I'll run through that later in the show. And as always, going to run through your comments as much as I possibly can. Who's here from the mod and the member gang? Let's have a quick hello. And good morning to you, dude. Take off, you're there as well. Carl, you're there as always. Alex and Josh there too. I'm Potato and Alex both gifting a membership each to kick off today's show. And who's here from the member gang? Let's have a quick look. JC, we've got Connor, Danny, Fizz, Steve Brooks, Leela. We've got Yusuf, Rex, Ryan, and Damien. Good morning to all of you. So please get your comments in, right? I will try and answer as many of them as I possibly can. As always, quick roundup before we get into the Luke Shaw story, all right? Rude. Last night, Ruud van Nistelrooy was in the dugout for the first time as Leicester manager, and Jamie Vardy scored after 2 minutes. It had to be. And also, a 3-1 victory. And it was a pretty damn good 3-1 victory. West Ham getting a last-minute consolation goal, otherwise would have had a clean sheet. I really, really hope that Ruud can keep Leicester up. It's not going to be easy. I would say Southampton are a sure thing for going down. Ipswich, well, they lost last night against Crystal Palace. I mean, Ipswich are going to be involved. Everton, I think Everton are down there in the relegation scrap. Who else is down there? Crystal Palace might get dragged into it. But fingers crossed for Ruud and for Leicester. They can use the new manager bounce, string some good results together, bag some points, and move away from the relegation zone. Yeah, man. I love Ruud. It's really strange how my favourite United players when I grew up, or just growing up being a United fan, have all become bloody manager. Caretaker manager, in part. Giggs for a couple of games. Solskjaer for a few years. And Ruud for a couple of games. It's quite nice, actually. Anyway, I'm just delighted to see that he won his first game. And fingers crossed it can continue. What are Leicester's next games looking like? Let's have a quick look at Leicester's fixtures. Because at home against West Ham, that's a pretty nice introduction. Leicester City fixtures. Right. They have got Brighton at home on Sunday. Newcastle away on the 14th. Then Wolves at home. Then Liverpool away on Boxing Day. Then City at home, then Villa away. Okie dokie. So after Christmas, there's an interesting few games. But good start with the win. Now, speaking about wins, last night, the under-21s were in action against Rochdale, and Amir Ibrahimov came up clutch with a really nice strike. Outside the box, Chido Obi-Martin came on as a sub, and about a minute later, just laid a ball across Ibrahimov. First time finish, right foot, right into the corner. You know, there's kind of one of those like precision finishes. Really nice from him. And a 1-0 win for the under-21s. And I think inside that, what is it? The National League Cup, 3 games, 3 wins. Good performance from them. It was good to see Dan Gore. He started as captain for the under-21s. And after a really disappointing year for him last year because of all the injuries. I think he went to Port Vale and then had a shoulder injury. So good to see him play. Now, there was no Harry Amass involved in this squad, and reports suggest that Amass has actually suffered a dead leg. So rather than him being left out to be included in the squad versus Arsenal, I think it was because of a slight injury. Stephen Lawrence saying you were at the under-21s game. They played really, really well. I'd love to be able to watch more youth football. I really, really would. Anyway, maybe when I'm a little bit less busy. Alex, you're asking, do you think Ibrahimov may make the senior squad before the end of the season? I mean, it's a possibility. But that squad is so littered, it's ridiculous. The way that the academy is improved. And I can't wait to... It's something that I've been wanting to do more of on this channel, but, just kind of juggling everything. But I guarantee you it is coming. We've got a mini doc coming out on the under 18s again this season. I'm lining up what could be a sort of, not a monumental. Let's say that's the wrong word to describe it. A watershed moment for the channel in the future. I'll keep you posted on that. Anyway, more Academy content is coming to this channel. Right, let's move on to the main topic of today's show. Okay, and firstly, that's my reaction. Just sort of like, right, okay, here we go again. So there were whispers yesterday afternoon that Luke Shaw wasn't going to be involved in the squad. And given that Lisandro Martinez is suspended and Luke Shaw's out, you're looking at the squad going, well, who in the world is starting at left centre-back? Which I'll speak about a little bit later. Mike is saying, what happened to the collaboration on the youth team is coming. I want to start that series, but for me to start that weekly series takes a lot of planning, a lot of preparation, finding the space for it to do it every week, because I'm not going to launch something half-assed. And I don't want to get it wrong. So basically, it's going to be, when I launch it, it's ready to go and I can handle it. That's why I've delayed that. Plus, a lot has been going on right now. Anyway, Luke Shaw. A statement from Manchester United confirmed the injury. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to read through Luke Shaw's statement. Then I'm going to give you my rough opinion, overall opinion, honest opinion, I suppose, on the situation. I'm going to come down and read your comments. So Luke Shaw has suffered a small setback, according to Manchester United, and reports suggest that it's a muscular problem. It's going to keep him out for a few weeks. Well, I believe his injury before that was hamstring. So I don't know whether it's the same injury or not. We don't quite know. And you're not particularly happy at the statement, saying it's self-indulgent. I'm going to read through the statement here, and I want to speak to you about this in the comments, all right? He said, "Hi guys, it's hurting a lot having to write this, as I really thought I got through my recent struggles and was on a positive path going forward, but unfortunately I've had a small setback. I've been through a lot and had a lot of ups and downs, but this has definitely been my toughest period. I'm absolutely devastated, and it's extremely tough to come to terms with reality at this moment in time. I understand there is going to be people frustrated, angry, disappointed, and I understand all of that. There is no one feeling that more than me in this moment in time. What I can do is, what I can promise is I will do everything I can to come back better soon to help this club achieve its ambitions. Thank you to everyone for the support. It really doesn't go unnoticed, and I really do appreciate it." What's your... I suppose I'm not really asking for your reaction to Luke Shaw being injured, right? Okay, well, Luke Shaw's injured again, right? Okay, well, we've literally had this conversation, I don't know how many times over the last few years. I think I'm more asking, what do you think happens next? Like, what is the pathway, right? And I'm going to do a lunchtime video on this, a short lunchtime video, just a little 8-10 minute chat, because I want to articulate this properly, which won't really be possible in a live show, to be as concise as I want to be. Simon, you're saying he needs to be put out on loan. Anthony, you're saying it's time to let him go. Graphic, you're saying it must be terrible for him. Dera, you're saying it's time to leave. Takeoff saying it's sad, really. Injury shouldn't be something we mock. I don't particularly think anybody is mocking Luke Shaw. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong. I'm certainly not mocking. And I know this, people might laugh at me for trying to do this, but for someone who's been going through rehab for the last year and you want to do something and your body's not doing it, and it doesn't matter how hard you work and your body won't do it, it's fucking frustrating. Let alone being a Premier League footballer of the quality of Luke Shaw, and your body just won't do what you want it to do at the levels that are required. That's the ultimate truth, really, about Luke Shaw. You know, there's people that feel, oh, I saw it in the comments this morning. Luke Shaw is stealing a living. I do not for 1 second doubt that Luke Shaw is putting the graft in. I don't think that Luke Shaw is just, he's not putting the effort in. He's just kind of just bopping through it, doing what he wants, taking the wages and not doing it. But his body cannot cope with the demands of what are required of being a Manchester United football player. And that, of course, we all know is a direct consequence of the leg break he suffered in Eindhoven. It's unfortunately for Luke Shaw, he is going to be the latest addition to a list of Manchester United players that include the likes of Phil Jones, of Owen Hargreaves. They're always the two that stand out in my mind. I'm sure there are loads more examples you can give me there of players who just had the potential. Man, Hargreaves in that first season when we won a double was so good. Phil Jones, when we signed him from Blackburn, Fergie went as far as saying that he can see some Duncan Edwards in him. And he wasn't doing that for hyperbole. Fergie genuinely saw that ability in him. Injuries completely decimated that. And Luke Shaw genuinely had the ability to be United's left back and England's left back easily for a decade. I mean, he has been our left back for a decade, but he's hardly bloody played. Emmanuel, you're saying Shaw is not even sure of himself. Yeah. Simon, you're saying Martial. Yeah, that's a good one. Eric Bailly. Yeah. Trust me, this list is long. Right, this list is long. You know what it is, right? Is I said this at the start of the season, and this is not Captain Hindsight speaking. Start of the season, I said, it doesn't matter what happens with Luke Shaw this season. United need a new left back. Manchester United have not had a left back for 2 years. Do you know how ridiculous that statement is? Imagine your Sunday League team. Just didn't have, I suppose, in a Sunday League, you've got Trevor, who's 49, and he's playing centre-back, and then you've got Craig, who's 33, and has got a hangover playing. Probably a bad comparison there. Any mid-level championship team, League One team, just didn't have a left-back for 2 years. It would be laughable. Let alone Manchester United. Now, of course, we didn't know what was going to happen with Malacia. We didn't know it was going to be botched surgery. But with Luke Shaw, everything that has happened has simply been a continuation. And we have given him every chance as a football club. And someone tried to argue me about that on Twitter last night, and I was dead confused, man. Trying to say that I'm instigating a pile-on. Because I think I said, end of the season, it's a handshake for Luke Shaw, it's a goodbye, and we move on. Because that is exactly what needs to happen. However, the reality is, Luke Shaw has a contract until 2027. And there is not one football club in the world that is going to be coming in to buy Luke Shaw because of his injury record. A bit like when we struggled to sell Martial. It's exactly the same thing as going to be happening with Luke Shaw. I'm going to go down. There's a couple of super chats there. I'll read those out and some of your comments as well. All right. Halftime Orange is saying, bloke nearly lost his leg playing for us when he was younger. His body has given up on him and he needs to be moving on, but I have no ill feeling towards him. Yeah, that's what I really want to articulate in my lunchtime video. Right? I'm not saying that he needs to be taken by the scruff of the neck and thrown out for stealing. He hasn't been, man. He's just been fucking injured. It's part and parcel of the professional sport. Yeah, but it doesn't mean that I think United should just hope that Luke Shaw's injury problems next year won't be the same, because they will be. I mean, the evidence is insurmountable now. We cannot move forward in this direction anymore as a football club. And it's not even using the word ruthless, I think, would be over the top. It's just staring you in the face. Jordan, you're saying you broke your leg and carried... What? I didn't know. You ex-army, I didn't know that. You broke your leg, carried on, then you stood on an IED. Oh, my God. That's a lot to take in. Anybody be watching Day of the Jackal? I quite enjoyed that. If you watch it, then you understand why I'm linking it to that. Oh, JC, thank you very much for gifting 20 memberships, dude. Can you gift a new leg to Luke Shaw? Right, let me see what you're saying down there. Mr. Bojangles saying that my concern is that Malacia could go the same way. Yeah, we all have concern. When you suffer an injury, the length and the size that Malacia did, double meniscus ligament issue, double surgery on the same knee for a player who's explosive. And in my opinion, wing-backs and full-backs are the most physically demanding position in modern football. You lose that sharpness and that pace, it's a problem. Shaw is like the Reece James of Chelsea. I feel sorry for the bloke. Yeah, Danny, go and watch that. You'll enjoy that show. No spoilers, all right? You're allowed to talk about TV shows in here, but no spoilers. Anybody who puts spoilers gets a straight ban, full, complete ban. Mods, all right? That's what I would say. Atto saying, I think Shaw should just retire from the game itself. And I wouldn't go anywhere near as far as that, man. All right? But Manchester United need to move on. And I'm going to run through all the potential options I see in front of us in the lunchtime video. Because with that contract, when did Luke Shaw sign that new contract? Luke Shaw signs new Man United contract. I swear it wasn't that long ago. Well, there you go. So Luke Shaw signed a new contract a new 4-year contract in 2023. It's just it's a bit of a mad decision, really. And you might say, oh, so it's easy to say in hindsight, Sam. Yeah, it is easy to say in hindsight. Was that after, if I remember correctly here, let me try and remember this. When was the season where England went to the Euro final? That was Euro 2020, but I think it happened a year later because of COVID. Or was it 2 years later? Was it Euro 2020 in 2022? Bloody hell, man. Bloody hell. I can't remember. When was that? Because that was the year of Luke Shaw, wasn't it? That was when Luke Shaw was at his absolute peak. Was that straight after the League Cup final? Well, not straight after. So we won the Carabao Cup in February. Yeah, so England was in 2021. I think that was the peak of Luke Shaw. That was when I thought it was at his absolute best as Manchester United player and for England as well. So we signed that contract 2 years later. United have got themselves into a right expensive pickle with Luke Shaw. I think that's how I would describe it. And I really, really genuinely feel massive sympathy for him. And I think that's... You know, one thing I do want to say here, right? And I think for a lot of Manchester United fans, Luke Shaw going to the Euros with England, working on his fitness, and I think he started the semi and the final, to then suffer a new injury and then come back to Manchester United injured and be injured for the first 3-4 months of the season. That pissed a lot of United fans off. And obviously, discourse was suggesting that Luke Shaw will always make himself fit for England, but then not make himself fit for Manchester United. And it kind of goes in like whispers and Chinese whispers and all that jazz. I don't buy into that. However, what I would say is this. Decisions have impacts. Decisions have consequences. Luke Shaw, mentally where he was after the year that he had frustration, he pushed himself to be fit for England because of all the frustration that happened. Not just because it's England or rather than Manchester United, but he wanted to try his hardest to make himself fit for that. And he got there now. What someone's saying there now, he's a sub in the semi and starting in the final. And as a consequence of that, he pushed himself probably further and quicker than he should have done, and therefore came back to Manchester United in a worse place. And the injuries recurred, and he was out for another 3-4 months. So his decision to not prioritise England, but his decision to go, you know what, this after the year I've had, I want to try and make myself as fit as I can be for England. And that was a goal. But that decision impacted what's happened this season. And decisions have consequences. And that's why some United fans, even at the start of the season, had lost patience with Luke Shaw, let alone with the injury setbacks that have come again and come as a consequence. Ryan is saying maybe it would be a different story if he didn't go. Hey, look, that's the $1 million question. That's the hypothetical that we won't ever be able to know. But what we do know is that Luke Shaw has suffered another injury. And what I would absolutely presume or predict is that it won't be the last one this season. Right? Takeoff, he's saying is, and I think that's a really fair comment down there. You're saying, is that a decision from Luke Shaw or desperation? The fact that he pushed himself so hard to be fit for England. And I think it probably is more verging. I mean, desperation's the wrong word, but he would have had such a desperate desire to bury the frustration of the last year. And he used that goal as that goal for England as his goal. Like, you always have goals. Like, if you're coming out of rehab, I want to be able to run. Like, I can hardly run. I want to be able to run a kilometre fine by Christmas. Still not sure if I'm going to be able to do it. But you have your goals. Akash saying, why did United allow him to go with England? I don't think clubs, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I don't think clubs are allowed to stop players when they get called up by their nations. I don't know whether I've just made that up completely, but I think I heard that before. Liam saying, I don't get why United released him for England duty. It must be partly down to the players, right? Because if you want to pull out of international duty, it's very easy. I've got a little niggle. Yusuf, thank you for gifting 10 memberships, dude. Kinth, you're saying clubs can get fined if they prevent player call-ups. I thought it was something like that. But hey, as I said, I'm going to try and articulate this in a lunchtime video. But Luke Shaw's put a statement out. He's injured for the next few weeks, and it puts United... Well, it gives Amorim a problem for tonight's game. Right? Because Lisandro Martinez is suspended. Luke Shaw is injured. Malacia, I mean, he's not even left centre-back. Who plays there? Don't know. Right, I'm going to run through that in my lunchtime video. I've got a lot of sympathy for Luke Shaw, but my word, do we need to move on. Right, let me read your comments. Actually, I'll read a few more comments out before I move on because there's so many comments coming in. OG saying he's a very good player, but it's time to accept his time at United is over. Sam saying Shaw should maybe consider terminating his contract and rejoin the club when he recovers. I mean, that's of all the potential things that could happen, that's the most ludicrous. Oh yeah, Luke Shaw should rip up a contract worth 150 grand a week that lasts for 2 years because he's injured. No, it's absolutely not on Luke Shaw to do that. And any suggestion that is what should happen is, as I said, quite frankly, ludicrous. You know you wouldn't do it. Right? Let's move on to speak about tonight's game. And also, first, a big congratulations to Mazraoui, who was correctly named Manchester United's Player of the Month in November. He has been just like the epitome of consistency. That's what I would call it. He's been fantastic. Although, anybody see this? I think Ahmad agrees. That was Ahmad's response underneath Mazraoui and the announcement from Manchester United that he got Player of the Month. Ahmad's there going, VAR, come on, man, VAR over there. I hope that's his official account. I think it is. I mean, you used to be able to tell the blue ticks. That Ahmad replies 10 out of 10. Top banter, we call that. I hate the word banter. Anyone else hate the word banter? I don't know why. I've got such a disdain for that word. I think it's just been so misused. Anyway, big up to that. Big up to Mazraoui. Right, let's move on. Let's focus for the last 20 minutes of today's show all about the Arsenal game tonight because it's a big one. All right, I ran through my starting 11 yesterday. It's not going to be correct because I had Luke Shaw in it. And also, I'm probably going to make a couple of changes. I'll run through that in a bit. But let's hear from Ruben Amorim first and also some injury news. So, Lenny Yoro has travelled. Good. Like, no matter where you look in this squad now for a solution, now that there's a Luke Shaw and Martinez-shaped hole, you could say, well, Malacia could technically play there, but he's not a left centre-back. You could put Mazraoui there, potentially, but then you're taking him away from that right centre-back. So who plays there? Well, you could play Lenny Yoro at right centre-back, but then you're going to be potentially bringing him back into a starting 11 before you'd want to. Maguire's only just returned from injury. There is no right solution. There's a risk that has to be taken, and it depends what risk is chosen. It's effectively it. But Lenny Yoro has travelled, and so has Godwill Kukonki. And now he was involved in the travelling squad for Ipswich, but he was left out of the actual matchday squad. Now, we don't know whether the exact same thing is going to happen tonight. Stephen Rowson from the Manchester Evening News confirmed that Harry Mass, who, look, he wasn't involved in the under-21s, but it wasn't because he was travelling down. But Kukonki, he's travelling again. So that's 2 times he's been involved in matchday squads. Now, he is an absolute monster of a 16-year-old, 6'5", but he can play left centre-back and plays left-back. He's very good at covering the ground. Do I expect him to start? Absolutely not. He won't start. He could get some minutes. It's not impossible. But there's going to massively be a reshuffle. There isn't like full news on the complete squad, but Lenny Yoro has travelled, Malacia is there, Xerxes is there, and Kukonki is there as well. And let's move on now to hear from Ruben Amorim, because I thought this was quite an interesting and very, very honest quote about, we just won 4-0. We won the game before, but Amorim fully expects the storm to still come.
The storm will come. I don't know if you use that expression, but we are going to have difficult moments.
And this is the second part of his interview, his press conference ahead of Arsenal, and he's just kind of being as honest as he possibly can be. And he said, look, I know I shouldn't be saying this as Manchester United manager, right? But I'm just preparing you for what is coming. I'm just letting you know that this path that we are on is one path. There won't be right, let's change the tactics for a few games completely just to get a couple of results. He's going to keep on this path, but by doing so, there's going to be difficult moments. And maybe we're going to, because he said there, look, United are going to get found out a few times. I know that. I'm ready for that. I'm just telling you it's going to happen before it's happened. But it doesn't mean that we're wrong. It means that there are mistakes that will be made and we'll correct them and move on. Yeah, David, that's exactly what it is. Softening the blow. Softening the blow might be the wrong way to describe it, but he's just actively preparing you for what will come at some point. Now, maybe that will come against Arsenal. Maybe it won't. Maybe it will come away at City. Maybe it won't. Or Spurs away. Or I don't know, Forest at home. Sod knows when. But the reason he's doing that and saying that is because he will not divert away from what we've seen so far. The principles will stay the exact same, even if there are problems. And this is something that, look, I fingers, well, Jesus Christ, fingers crossed, there are no points where for 2 months we're sitting there going, oh, it's not working, it's not working, it's not working. But even if we reach that point, we have to go back to this point here. I wouldn't say he's future-proofing himself, but it's just like, he's preparing United fans and the media for the inevitable. Now, I hope that doesn't come tonight, right? Connie, you're saying it's refreshing going from Ten Hag to Amorim. Yeah, it is. But it will always be refreshing to go from one thing to something new, especially when they are quite different. And that doesn't just apply to a football manager. It applies to pretty much everything in life. But I'm enjoying listening to Amorim sort of explain. How will I describe this? He's pulling no punches, but he's not doing it in a Mourinho style, if you know what I mean. He's saying things that are completely honest and completely truthful. Dalot, he needs to make sure that he understands that position more. Bruno, sometimes when he drops deeper, it's not always about the long balls over top. Ahmad, playing great, but fitness-wise, we need to improve that. It's sort of, it's all honesty designed to improve the team rather than to undermine individuals and sort of scare them into improvements. Yeah, Graphic, I saw that interview with Mark Chapman on the BBC. I've spoken about this already. I thought it was a fantastic interview. And a player, of course, who has started off so well under Ruben Amorim is Ahmad. Just kind of a continuation from what we saw under Ruud, really, because Ahmad and Amorim's actually given a nod to Ruud for the development that you saw. Good thing here, Ruben saying that he absolutely expects Ahmad to sign a new contract. Yes, please. JT is saying that it's honesty but not damaging. And it's like a delicate. It's like a slap in the face, and then he just like rubs the back of your head. Improve your positioning. But yeah, you're a good player though. No, look, a backhanded compliment, you might call it. Constructive criticism is in reality what it is. And it's honesty. Anyway, I want Ahmad to sign a new contract. Now, Ruben was speaking. I won't read this whole thing out because it will take ages. You can have a little read and listen. He's just sort of explaining here about the passing angles. This is why it was quite easy once you looked at Ruben Amorim's sporting teams and you looked at who played at right wing back. You really understood that Ahmad suited that role. He likes that right wing back to have that left foot. So when he receives the ball, the natural movement is inside rather than outside to the byline. And on the left-hand side, he likes a left foot. Well, Dalot right now he's inverted on the left-hand side, but in reality, he wants a left-footed left back and a left-footed right back. And he's just explaining here about the characteristics of Ahmad's game and why he has been so impressive, right? Now, controversially, well, not controversially, depending how you go. Let's take a look at my starting 11. And before I do, I'm going to start a poll, right? What do you think the result will be tonight? Still annoys me that YouTube doesn't give mods the opportunity to start polls. It's such an easy thing for them to implement. Arsenal win, draw, United win. Now, you remember yesterday, right? We took a look at sort of what Google was suggesting the predictions were. And they've actually put United even further down. They're saying that there is a 12% chance of United winning tonight, which feels a bit low. Maybe I'm wrong. But I'm going to leave that there, right? And let's run through the starting 11. This was a starting 11 that I had yesterday, and yeah, I'm going to make some changes. I predicted that Ahmad would actually be left on the bench, and I'm not talking about the fact that he doesn't deserve to start. The reason I had him down there was because I thought from a fitness perspective, in the same way that Højlund was not protected, but Højlund was rested for Everton after Bodo Glimt, after Ahmad and the performance that he put in, I question whether he would be fit to start. But of course, there's some changes that have to happen. Luke Shaw, you go straight there. And let me sort of run through some potential options, I suppose. You could conceivably see... You could see this. Mazraoui over there as the left centre-back. Delo coming over there to a right-back position. And Malacia going in there. So Maguire as the central centre-back. Mazraoui on the left. De Ligt on the right. I think this is a possibility. Now, Malacia, of course, was taken off against Bodo Glimt, and we didn't see him against Everton. So we don't know. Now, can you just fire in your suggestions of how you see it going now? I don't think you'll be seeing Kukonki in the starting 11. And who could be the left centre-back is the main question. You could conceivably put Maguire there. You could put Mazraoui there. Don't think you can put De Ligt there. I don't really think I want Maguire there. Will, you're saying there's no way De Ligt plays on the right? I would have a bit more confidence of De Ligt playing on the right than I would Maguire playing on the left or right. Of the two. Malacia too slow for Saka. I don't think there's really going to be a solution to Saka. I think United are just going to have to, as a team, go together. Someone down there saying about Anthony on the right-hand side. Malacia versus Saka's a death wish. Like, there isn't. Who? What, you want to see? Maz, you want to see? I don't know. Maybe it's this, right? Maybe it's this. And maybe I'm wrong. I do hope I'm wrong. And I do hope he's fit to play. Because if Ahmad is fit to play, that would probably be the best that United could get. Ahmad is right wing back. Delo is left wing back. And it means that the players that will be marking Saka would effectively be those three. And I've got Bruno in a deeper position. Somebody might disagree with that. But I personally think he's going to play him alongside Ugarte in midfield. You could get Casemiro there conceivably too. And you could get Bruno a little bit further forward. Let me see what you're saying. Yoro and Ahmad are going to start. Am I serious about Malacia? No, I'm running through options here, dude. I don't particularly think Malacia is a good option either. Not right now. Akash saying, I don't see why Maguire can't play left centre-back. If you're looking at the threat of Arsenal, like so much of it is going to be coming. So much of the play is going to come down that left-hand side. It's going to be busy. If you're looking at the you know, when the Sky does the percentage map, which shows you where the ball is being played, I expect it to be heavily over on that left-hand side. Maybe that will be the back five. And I think it's probably the best of a bad case scenario. And another change that I think a lot of you put in the comments on the video, and I actually think you're right. I put Garnacho there with Rashford because I think I was just thinking about counters. But in reality, the buzzword ahead of this game that Amorim has kept saying is he wants some more control. So Mount, of course, is there from a pressing perspective, but also has a little bit more ability to play there and slow the game down when needed to than Garnacho, who is naturally, he's just a turn and run sort of player. So I think those are the two changes that I would make. Dad's saying Maguire should not start. Dude, if you're not starting Maguire, who are you starting? Let's have a look. Let's take Maguire out. There ain't no way I'm putting Johnny Evans in there. Ain't no way. You're probably saying this. And on paper, is that a stronger 11? Yes. Do I think that Lenny Yoro's first minutes of football for Manchester United, having been carefully managed this whole time, will be starting away at Everton? Not Everton, Arsenal. I don't think so. Don't even think Evans has travelled. Probably hasn't. I just can't see it coming. I might be wrong. You may well see Yoro start tonight. He might be fitter than we all realise. But it would just be a surprise. I think no matter where you look, really, United are going to be compromising in our back line here today. Someone's saying Casemiro and Ugarte in midfield. I understand that. It may well be Casemiro and Ugarte. But I personally think... Who was it? Was it Bodo Glimt we saw Bruno play deeper? Yeah. Is it a risk playing Maguire? Yeah, sure. But there is no way that I would personally put Yoro in a game like that for his first minutes. Steve, you're saying it's a horrible game to start, but little options. And that's what I mean. No matter where you look here tonight, there's going to be a risk being taken, whether that's Yoro starting, whether that's Malacia at left wing back, whether that's Maguire starting. There's going to be a risk in that defence somewhere. And whether it pays off or not will probably be part and parcel as to whether or not United get a result. Cowboys saying Martinez dropped. Nope, Martinez is suspended for this game. And so is Mainu. Both of them picked up yellow cards against Everton. So that's why they're there. Sankit saying Bruno deeper is a waste. Bruno is there because the idea of playing Casemiro there in a game like this where it will move faster, the ball will move faster. It's going to be left, right. It's going to be a lot of sharp turns. It's going to be a lot of pace and acceleration required over the first few yards to stop gaps appearing. I don't know why I nearly cried. Lost my voice there. I don't like Casemiro in that environment, personally. And Bruno, well, it is a little bit of a waste playing Bruno there. I prefer to see Bruno closer to the centre forward, but we'll find out. I'll tell you who we need to have an absolute monster game tonight. I'm not saying that the whole game relies on Ugarte, because I think that's a bit much. But he's going to have to protect that defense. I don't really want to see Ugarte run past the halfway line. I don't think he needs to. Not tonight. Just screen that area. Just absolutely marshal this area of the pitch. That's where I want to see Ugarte's heat map. Doesn't need to move from there. Someone's saying Casemiro is good as a central centre-back. He technically could play there. I don't know. I worry about it. I wouldn't put Casemiro in my starting 11 tonight. Personal preference. Ryle, you're saying to stop in Saka. We need to do that tonight. Odegaard will give us a hard time. This Arsenal team have quality. If you focus too much on stopping Saka, you will give Odegaard too much space. If you focus too much on stopping Odegaard, you will give Saka too much space. This is not a game, in my opinion, where United should be focusing on stopping individuals. If you do that, I think you're going to leave too much space for the others. Going forward, feed Højlund. Quite simple, really. Feed the centre forwards. Press Arsenal where we need to. Kenneth saying stop Saka, you stop Arsenal. Well, he has been their main man this season. But now they've got Odegaard back. Odegaard, in my opinion, is the proper heartbeat of that Arsenal team. Saka's been really good. Very, very good. He's been their best player this season. But when Arsenal have been at their best over the last 2 to 3 years, in my opinion, Odegaard has been the real difference maker. The proper playmaker. But yeah, you could forget Trossard. You could do all that and then forget Trossard on the other wing. It's a tough game tonight. There is no easy way to go about it. The takeoff is saying you're not worried about Arsenal. Fair enough. I am. It's going to be a hard game. Let me see what the poll is predicting. Man, this poll is always... If only United's results were the results of these polls, we would win everything. 46% of you are saying United are going to win. 23% are saying Arsenal are going to win. And 31% are saying it's going to be a draw. Now, I think 31% of you are right. My predictions are 2-2 draw. I don't know what this starting 11 is going to be tonight. I mean, it's going to be difficult choosing a starting 11 in every game. And tonight is no exception. Luke Shaw is injured. Martinez is suspended. And we don't know whether Yoro is fit to start. Maguire was fit to come off the bench against Everton. Does that mean he's fit to start? Question mark, question mark. What about Malacia? Is he fit? Question mark. Ahmad, is he fatigued or is he recovered since Everton where he put an absolute shift for 90 minutes? We have no idea. But 2-2 is my prediction and it's going to be a heck of a game. The biggest test so far for Ruben Amorim. I'm excited for it. It's going to be, was it hard? 8:30 kickoff tonight. I think it's 8:30. No, 8. I can say. Got it. 8. It was neither of them. It was 8:15. What a weird kickoff time. 8:15. Anti saying up one bonus is Arteta won't know our system tonight. Well, he'll know the system, but he won't know the individuals. If you're looking at tweaks, the tweak against Everton was that Xerxes dropped a little bit deeper, that Mainu dropped a little bit deeper. This time we'll probably play with Højlund playing a little bit further forward. Definitely playing a little bit further forward. Will Bruno play? We don't know. We don't know. Yeah, it is on Amazon Prime. Anybody who's watching. Man, I'm moving house, man, right? I had to cancel BT this morning. They're charging like 300 quid as a termination fee. I was like, you bastards. Don't move house, people. It's A, expensive, and B, ag. And I'm not even moving house to where I want to move because the house fell through. Anyway, the main part of today's show is about Luke Shaw. I'm going to give you just my concise and honest opinion in 8 minutes for the lunchtime video. Short and sweet. I've got your opinions across and I want to try and get mine. Because it's kind of hard to really articulate mine when I'm reading your comments out as well. I'm moving on Friday. So Friday morning, if everybody's tuning in, it's going to be a slightly shorter show and it'll be the last show here before I move. So make sure you'll do join in. All right? Yeah, 300 quid. It's ridiculous. I can't believe that's a mad cancellation charge. Anyway. Robbers. Thank you all for tuning in, everyone. I will be here after the game tonight. I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw. I'd love it if we win. Come on, Kevin Keegan. I'd love it. I just want to see a performance from United tonight. That's the bottom line. Don't get dicked. Let's find out. Take it easy, everyone. I'll see you after the game and I'll see you for the lunchtime video.